ArcGIS Pro is a desktop application for GIS professionals for data management, spatial analysis, and sharing content to your web-based GIS. ArcGIS Pro is 2D and 3D, and you can view your maps and scenes side by side. The windows are dockable, and the tabs are contextual, so you can get access to the most commonly used tools quickly. Because with ArcGIS Pro you are using multiple maps and scenes, your content is organized in the project pane, where you have access to toolboxes, databases, and folder connections. From the Edit tab, you have access to editing tools, and the Analysis tab gives you access to the geoprocessing tools and commonly used tools in the gallery, including your Model Builder tools. Model Builder has been further improved in 2.1 to include grouping, logical tools, and iterators. The Model Builder report view shows all of the variables and tools in a model, along with each element's value and other properties. The report is categorized into two sections, variables and processes, and you can also search for and filter elements within your model. When it comes to getting started with ArcGIS Pro, it's easy to migrate using the Import Map tool, where you can select an MXD and import those maps from ArcMap, where labeling and symbology are all retained. Here we are looking at some statistical areas of Dunedin. If you use base maps in ArcMap, they'll be brought through as well, but with ArcGIS Pro you can take advantage of vector base maps. Vector base maps are high-definition contextual layers that you can use inside of your ArcGIS projects, like this navigation base map. Your layout templates also get imported from ArcGIS Pro. From the project pane, you can select your layout. Layouts in ArcGIS Pro have also been improved in 2.1 to support dynamic tables. In this map series, we have a dynamic table so that as we move from each statistical area, our dynamic table will refresh with the mesh blocks and some commonly used statistics from those mesh blocks. Let's work with this data a little bit more using ArcGIS Pro's smart mapping capability. Exploratory analysis is easier with ArcGIS Pro's smart mapping capability, and from the Appearance tab we can access the Symbology pane. Right now we're using an unclassed renderer to visualize these statistical areas, and the histogram slider makes it easier to change break values that we're using to drive the symbology from our attribute table. New in ArcGIS Pro is dot density symbology. Dot density symbology is one way to represent quantities within polygons on a map. With dot density symbology, the data that you are symbolizing is not classified. Instead, quantitative values for one or more fields are represented as a collection of point symbols, typically solid circles or dots within each polygon. Here we're starting to explore different ethnicities around different parts of Auckland, and using the dot density renderer to view the patterns and trends of where those different ethnicities reside. You might recall in ArcGIS Pro 2.0, the Imagery tab was introduced to give you easy access to tools commonly used with raster data types, including the function editor, which included a library of raster indices to work with your rasters. In my project folder, I have an ungeoreferenced JPEG, which I'm going to use to demonstrate the georeferencing tools. The georeferencing toolbar makes it easier for you to prepare, adjust, and review your ungeoreferenced imagery, and you can use the rotate and move tools to place this image in the correct position. And once you've done that, you can save the image and reuse it within any of your maps. New in ArcGIS Pro 2.1 are the ortho mapping tools to work with drone, aerial, or satellite imagery. Ortho rectification is a process that corrects for geometric distortion inherent in remotely sensed imagery to produce a map-accurate ortho image. What I really want to show you here is that all of this aerial photography overlaps, and we can view this in stereo mode using ArcGIS Pro. To enable stereoscopic mode, by turning on the 3D cyan read glasses or shutter glasses, you have to restart your project before doing this. I don't want to restart ArcGIS Pro right now, but what you might not know is that you can now run multiple sessions at the same time. In the second session of ArcGIS Pro, we're viewing that same aerial photography in stereoscopic mode. ArcGIS Pro's stereo mapping provides the capabilities to view stereo pairs like these ones and collect 3D features from them. You can collect point, line or polygon features for various workflows such as parcel editing or creating simple 3D buildings, or even measuring distances and heights. We can use the ArcGIS Pro keyboard shortcuts to change the parallax of these stereo pairs so that we can visualize different heights within the images themselves. Right now we've lined up the top of this building, and after we change the cursor height, we can start using the common editing tools to create our features. Let's digitize the top of this building. The editing experience in the stereo map is constant with the standard editing experience in ArcGIS Pro for creating and editing feature class data. And while editing, you can use existing layers, symbols and templates. Here we're visualizing that same building footprint in our 2D map and 3D scene on the right hand side. While we're in our 3D scene, I want to point out that the popular editing grid has now been included in any local scene view, so that when we're editing in 3D, we can snap to the grid to create truly orthogonal features in 3D too. Make sure you save your edits. Let's go back to our other session of ArcGIS Pro and continue working in 3D. In my local scene, we're visualizing inner city Wellington using this photorealistic 3D integrated mesh. These integrated meshes can be used as beautiful contextual base maps in your 3D scenes, or also can be used for interactive analysis. The exploratory analysis tools generate interactive spatial analysis of a scene. These tools, interactive line of sight, viewshed and view dome, work with the terrain and features in your scenes, and you can use layer visibility, definition queries, and before and after elevation surfaces to investigate many different scenarios. A common 3D spatial challenge is placing a limited set of resources within a scene to get the best possible visibility coverage. For example, you might need to place security cameras to monitor a park, put cameras at a supporting event, or police officers around an event. In all these cases, you want to optimize locations to avoid missed coverage and to reduce areas with double coverage. You can see here we've placed an observer point from our camera, and you can see red and green areas for areas that you can and can't see. ArcGIS Pro is a connected desktop, so you can sign into and connect to ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. Right now we're signed into ArcGIS Online, and from the Portal tab in the Catalog pane, we can access my content from ArcGIS Online and content that has been shared to me via a group, my whole organisation, or I can access and use content from the Esri Living Atlas. We can also share content to our active portal by sharing a web layer or a complete web map. And these workflows are especially important to enterprise users who need to share feature layers and map image layers to ArcGIS Enterprise. Here I'm switching my active portal to my ArcGIS Enterprise deployment, where I've got the same access to all of my shared layers from that resource. A connection to ArcGIS Enterprise is necessary when working with the ArcGIS Utility Network. The ArcGIS Utility Network is a comprehensive framework of functionality in ArcGIS for modelling utility systems such as electric, gas, water, stormwater, wastewater and telecommunications. It is designed to model all of the components that make up your system, such as wires, pipes, valves, devices and circuits, and allows you to build real-world behaviour into the features that you model. Here in this map, we're working with an electric distribution network, and we're going to run an upstream trace from a traced location which we've defined on a service meter. With the trace tool, we can define what tier we're going to run our trace along, in this case the high voltage tier, and we can use the function to actually run calculations across the traversed trace. In this case, the complete service load from the trace between the service meter all the way to the circuit breaker, and we can see the results of that trace and the function in the geoprocessing history. Now, I mentioned earlier about the importance of enterprise GIS users being able to publish their maps as services to ArcGIS Enterprise. With our ArcGIS Enterprise connection, we can publish a new map image layer, which is the new term for a map service, or override an existing map image layer. From the sharing pane, we can set all of the different map image layer properties like the operations and caching controls, and we can also select which server which we want to publish the map image layer to. That's if you have multiple servers deployed with your ArcGIS Enterprise deployment. So that's a look at ArcGIS Pro 2.1 for creating, managing and sharing geographic maps, data, and analytical models.